let's talk about a really common distraction situation I see going on all around me. People of all ages, people of all kind of levels, but I see it happen a lot in guys who were former athletes, guys that have been, maybe in the military, um, you know, kind of that high performer personality, but now have kind of fallen back a little bit. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about kind of snapping the chain a little bit and getting you back in action. So, what I see a lot of, and I was just having a conversation with a relatively new client about this. This guy had done the thing. He had been successful. He's a good athlete, played college ball. But, that was 20 years ago. And now fitness had kind of taken a little bit of a backseat. He did his career, he got his family going, that type of thing. But now he wanted to kind of get back in shape again. But I noticed when I talked to him that he had followed a lot of fitness influencers. He had read, quite a few books, a lot of articles, watched some YouTube videos, that type of stuff, all good stuff. It wasn't doing much. And he seemed very aware of getting in shape. He seemed very aware, quite knowledgeable rather. But he wasn't doing the thing to speak of. And that's when I kind of realized it's so easy to, and you see this in business. I've been guilty of this myself, especially in business. But it's so easy to mistake information for application. Let's say we want to, in this case, he wants to get in shape, right? Well, it's a lot easier to watch YouTube videos, read articles on getting in shape versus actually doing it, right? It's a struggle for all of us. But the thing with that is it doesn't work. And it takes you off the field. Whatever it is you're doing in your life, you've got to be the one playing the game. You've got to be the one on the field. And if you're off the field, just reading about it, things like that, you're a spectator. And there's value in that. It's important. It's just like playing football. It's important to watch game tape of the team you're playing against. It's the same thing. It's important to watch and learn and see where you can improve based on what other people are doing, what other knowledge is out there, whatever the subject matter is. That does have some good value. But eventually you're not going to get much better if you don't actually play the game. And that's the big key, is you've got to actually get in there, start mixing it up, start doing it, because that allows you to improve your skills, and that allows you to make the little miniature adjustments that you're going to need, because no matter what plan you have, it's just like a game plan in football. Same thing. If you have a great game plan and you execute on that game plan, the game might go kind of close to what you had thought, right? But it's not going to be exactly the way you thought it was going to be. The other team has a vote. Well, in life, everything else around you is the other team, and it has a vote. So you need to be able to make and fine-tune your game plan, fine-tune your adjustments as you're going along. And you can't do that if you're just watching it all happen. You've got to be on the field. You've got to be playing. So with that, how do we get this guy going, right? What it was going to be, a pretty major departure from his already busy life. If you're an adult, you've got most of your day planned out and scheduled out. It just is what it is, especially if you're busy. So in order to now achieve a certain goal, you may need to add 2, 3, 4 hours a week of training in there. Happens. Well, in order to do that, you've got to figure out where that fits in your life. Maybe there's some things you got to drop. Maybe there's some things you got to shuffle around. Whatever it is. But so what we did is we started with the smallest changes he could make to make it as easy so he didn't blow his life up. And with that, we took those small changes and we found intentional space to add them in, tweak them, make adjustments with intention. And the whole purpose for the first couple weeks, just to get him back on the field, so to speak, just to get him in the game, changing, moving, working out, doing the thing. And then once we're in action, we could start to fine tune. We could add things. We could take away things. We could change this exercise, that exercise, whatever it may be. But if you're not in the game in the first place, it's really tough. So first things first, get yourself in the game, even if it's a tiny amount, the smallest thing you can do. Just get yourself moving. Just get yourself going. Hey, I appreciate you watching. I'm going to be here on the regular talking about things that I do with my clients to achieve success. A lot of it's fitness. A lot of it's going to be more in the business realm. A lot of it's going to be more in just life philosophy because, quite frankly, they're all related. And if you don't have a good handle on the overall system of your life, the ecosystem, if you will, then it's going to be really hard to make an adjustment to any one thing to any huge degree. And that's where a lot of people fall down, is they try to make a big tweak in a small area and they don't realize that it's attached to everything else. So we're going to be talking about that as kind of like a whole experience. And I'd appreciate it if you followed along if that's something interesting to you. So on that note, be relentless.